In the grim expanse of the 41st millennium, where humanity clung to existence like rust on a decaying hull, Hive Primus on Necromunda stood as a monument to imperial endurance and decay. Towering spires pierced the toxic skies, home to billions who toiled in ignorance, their lives a ceaseless grind under the watchful eye of the God Emperor. But beneath the surface, in the labyrinthine Underhive, shadows stirred. Whispers of heresy echoed through the vents, tales of a cult that promised escape from the drudgery, a veil lifted to reveal forbidden truths. It was here that Inquisitor Elias Thorne, of the Ordo Hereticus, began his hunt. Thorne was no novice to the darkness. His face, scarred from a dozen purges, bore the marks of flame and claw. His rosette, a badge of absolute authority, hung heavy around his neck, a reminder that mercy was a luxury the Imperium could not afford. He arrived aboard a black-shrouded Thunderhawk, descending from the orbital station like a judgment from the throne itself. The airlock hissed open, releasing him into the choking smog of the mid-Hive levels. "The Emperors will be done," he muttered, his voice a gravelly rasp amplified by his vox grill. His retinue assembled swiftly. First was Mira Voss, his interrogator, a psyker whose talents had saved him more times than he cared to count. Her eyes, pale and piercing, flickered with the warp's subtle taint, but her loyalty was ironclad, or so he believed. Beside her stood Jaxcor, a Cassican veteran from Cadia, his bionic arm a whirring testament to battles lost and won. A servo skull designated SK-7 bobbed silently behind them, its ocular lenses recording every detail for the Inquisition's archives. "We've got reports of disappearances in the lower Hab blocks," Mira said, consulting a flickering data slate. "Mutants preaching salvation through the Veilwalker." "Sounds like Taintian influence." Thorne nodded, his trench coat billowing as they moved through the crowded thoroughfares. The Midhive was a cacophony of labor. Forge workers hammering adamantium plates, servitors droning litanies to the machine god. But Ott's eyes followed them, suspicious, fearful. The Inquisitor's presence was a harbinger of doom. Where he went, purges followed. Their first lead came in a squalid sump, den a pit of vice where the dregs of society drowned their sorrows in rotgut amasek. Thorne kicked open the door, his bolt pistol drawn. Inside, a mutant preacher hunched over a makeshift altar, his skin etched with 8-pointed stars that seemed to writhe in the dim light. "The Veilwalker comes." The creature croaked, its multiple eyes bulging. "He lifts the curtain of lies, shows the true path." Jax restrained the mutant with a chokehold, his bionic fingers crushing windpipe. Mira probed its mind, her face contorting as psychic feedback lashed at her. "It's fragmented. Images of rituals in the depths, level 89. A figure in shadows weaving illusions." Thorne pressed his pistol to the mutant's forehead. "Who is the Veilwalker?" The creature laughed, a wet gurgle. "You chase your own shadow, Inquisitor. The veil is already upon you." A single bolt ended the heresy, splattering ichor across the walls. As they descended via rattling elevator shafts, the air grew thicker, laced with the stench of unprocessed waste and chemical runoff. The Underhive was a lawless realm, ruled by house gangs, Goliath brutes with slab muscle augmentations, Escher vixens with poison blades, Orlok miners armed with stub guns. Turf wars raged eternally, but something had shifted. Gangs were uniting under cryptic banners, etched with symbols that twisted the eye. In level 62, they encountered their first skirmish. A Goliath patrol, their bodies pumped with stim slugs, ambushed them in a narrow corridor. "Intruders. For the Veil," one bellowed, swinging a chain axe. Jax met the charge, his Helgen barking plasma that melted flesh from bone. Mira unleashed a telekinetic wave, hurling attackers into the walls with bone-crunching force. Thorne fired methodically, each bolt a prayer to the Emperor. But as the last Goliath fell, clutching a pendant that shimmered unnaturally, Thorne felt a chill. The pendant bore his own likeness, distorted and mocking. "Illusions," Mira whispered, her voice unsteady. "The warp is close here." SK-7 scanned the bodies, its proboscis whirring. Anomalous psychic residue detected. "Recommend caution." They pressed on, the elevator groaning as it plunged deeper. Whispers haunted the vents, now faint echoes of Thorne's own voice, reciting litanies with subtle twists. "The Emperor protects the faithful, the deceived." Level 75 brought alliance and betrayal. They sought aid from a House Orlok informant, a grizzled miner named Gar. In a dimly lit bunker amid crates of promethium, Gar spilled secrets over a flask of second best. The cult started small, workers vanishing after shifts. Now, whole gangs kneel to the Veilwalker, says he can change fate, rewrite the script. Thorne leaned forward. Where? Where? Gar grinned, revealing filed teeth. Level 89, the old forge, but watch your backs. The Escher Queens are hunting too. Say the cult stole their venom stocks. No sooner had Gar finished than lost fire erupted from the shadows. Escher assassins, lithe and lethal, swarmed in. Traitor! One hissed at Gar, her needle pistol spitting toxins. Chaos ensued. Jax's bionic arm blocked a vibro knife. Mira's mind bolts fell too. But Thorne took a graze, poison burning in his veins. He countered with a frag grenade, the blast crumpling the attackers. Gar lay dead, a lost burn through his chest. Ambush, Jax growled. How do they know? Mira's eyes darted. Perhaps we're being watched. Deeper still, the team fractured. The whispers grew louder, burrowing into Thorne's mind like sumpworms. Visions assaulted him. Childhood on a feral world, the day he was recruited by the Inquisition. Or was it? Memory shifted like sand in a warp storm. Mira noticed his unease. Master, the warp taint is strong. Let me shield you. She placed a hand on his temple. A cool psychic bomb. But in that touch, doubt seeded. Her eyes, had they always glowed so faintly? Level 89 loomed. A forsaken forge where ancient machinery rusted in silence. The air hummed with unnatural energy. The walls daubed in runes that bled ichor. Cultists awaited, robed figures chanting in tongues that curdled blood. At the center stood the Veilwalker, a woman with a serene, maddening smile. Welcome, Elias, she purred. You've come far to find yourself. The assault was swift. Bolters roared, lost fire seared. Cultists fell in droves, their bodies twisting into impossible shapes, but the idol at the altar cracked, unleashing a warp rift. Reality tore, demons spilling forth, pink horrors giggling as they split and reformed, bloodletters howling for skulls, their brass blades dripping ethereal gore. Jax charged, his hellgun overheating as he vaporized a horror. For Cadia, he bellowed, but a bloodletter strike cleaved his bionic arm, sparks flying. He fought on, one-handed, until a demon's claw pierced his chest. He slumped, whispering, Emperor, forgive! Mira turned then, her eyes blazing with warp fire. Master, she said, voice layered with echoes. The veil lifts. Thorne recoiled. Flashes bombarded him. Not his memories, but implants. He saw Mira, no, the Veilwalker, infiltrating his purge on Drekkin 4, slipping into his mind like a shadow. Though the real Mira had died there, her form assumed by this sorceress of Tizench. The cult was bait, drawing him deep to shatter his will. You hunted yourself, she laughed, demons circling. Thorne's world unraveled. Had he executed innocence in his frenzy? The bodies around him, retinue, or illusions. SK7 hovered, its vox crackling, compromise detected. Exterminatus protocol initiated. Orbital lances would rain fire, purging the Hive. In desperation, Thorne fired his last bolt. Not at her, but the rift. Energy surged, demons howling as the tear mended partially. The Veilwalker staggered, her form flickering. You cannot deny the change. Oh, but Thorne lunged, his power sword igniting. The blade bit deep, severing her connection to the warp. She crumpled, illusions fading. He stood amid corpses, his true team slain by his possessed hand. The whispers ceased, but the damage was done. SK7 transmitted, Inquisitor Thorne fallen to heresy. Cleanse the sight. As alarms wailed, Thorne whispered a final prayer. Emperor, protect. From us all. The Underhive trembled as bombardments began. In the grim darkness, deception was the ultimate weapon, and Thorne its latest victim. But the story didn't end there. Whispers persisted in other hives, veils waiting to lift. For in the Imperium, heresy was eternal. The descent had begun with a single lead, but Thorne's investigation uncovered layers of corruption that ran deeper than the Underhive itself. Weeks earlier, aboard the orbital station, he had reviewed astropathic missives from across the sector. Necromunda wasn't isolated. Similar cults sprouted on Armageddon, Cadia remnants, even holy Terra's Undercroft. The Veilwalker was no lone heretic, but a pawn in a grander scheme, orchestrated by a Tizian cabal, perhaps even a greater demon pulling strings from the warp. Thorne's team expanded temporarily with local enforcers, but trust was scarce. In level 40, they raided a black market den peddling warp-tainted artifacts. A dealer, his face a mask of augmetic implants, babbled under Mira's psychic probe. The Veilwalker isn't one, it's many. copies echoes. You kill one, another rises. The raid turned bloody when hidden cultists detonated melta-charges, collapsing tunnels. Thorne escaped with burns, Jax's armor scarred. Deeper probes revealed gang involvement. House Goliath provided muscle, their overseers mutated by chaos gifts. Unending strength at the cost of sanity. Escher supplied poisons laced with demonic essence, turning victims into thralls. Orlok mined Blackstone shards, anti-psychic relics twisted to amplify warp rifts. Thorne orchestrated a sting in level 55, pitting gangs against each other. As bolters clashed, his team slipped through, capturing a Goliath champion. Interrogation yielded coordinates, the Forge in 89. But doubts festered. Mira's visions grew erratic, flashes of Thorne's death, repeated in loops. "It's the enemy sowing discord," she insisted. Jax noticed anomalies. SK7's logs tampered, timestamps altered. "Someone's inside our circle," he warned. The final plunge to 89 was a gauntlet. Ambush after ambush, mutant hordes, demon-possessed servitors. Thorne's faith wavered. Prayers felt hollow. Fight. At the Forge's threshold, the truth cracked open like the idol. Post-purge, if Thorne survived the bombardment, he would report to his superiors. But the veil had lifted for him. The Inquisition itself was riddled with shadows. Who could be trusted? In the end, he activated his own Exterminatus beacon, embracing oblivion to deny the enemy his soul. Thus ended Inquisitor Thorne's hunt, not in glory, but in the cold certainty that in the 41st millennium, the greatest deceptions were those we told ourselves.